for a little phone. Kill a brother for a $10 bill.
We have David Petroziello with us today. Did I say the name right?
That wasn't too bad. Petrozello, yeah, you
Okay,
almost had it.
that's all right. I'm good. I'm good. Where that name come from?
It's Italian American.
Italian American. No kidding. Okay, that's why you're word wild, man. So
Yeah,
welcome to the podcast today. It's a big snow at your place. I can hear.
yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do the pod with you. And there's a blizzard warning for us out here on the
Okay.
island, so we're uh, we're waiting for the snow to start anytime here.
All right. You say on the island. Where are you right now? Or in Groenland or something like that?
Yeah, on Cape Breton Island, just off the coast of Nova Scotia.
Nice. How long did it take to go to Nova Scotia?
I mean, we live in Sydney, and the university is in Sydney, and we're about 2.5 hours from the causeway, and that connects the island to the mainland. And
Yeah.
it's not a very long connection. It's only it's I mean, for the people that are back home in Quebec, I mean, it's not even Pompier la Porte, like
Okay.
it's very short. Yeah,
Oh, okay. It's nothing. It's
yeah,
nothing.
it's pretty small, but there is no doubt that we are an island, so it's pretty cool.
Nice. Okay, cool. But you still drive lefty. You don't drive on the right though.
No. Same road rules.
I'm kidding you. All right. So let's start with that. Like, just give me a quick intro. I would like to because we know each other because you're from. Are you born and raised in Quebec City actually?
I am, yeah. I
Yeah.
was
Okay.
born and raised in Quebec City.
Okay.
Born at l'Hôpital Jeffrey Hill,
Yeah. So you're
and
basically going to do the English version of the podcast today, but we could do it in French too, I guess.
yeah, absolutely. And we can
All
we can slip into French anytime.
right. Cool.
I still enjoy practicing French as much as possible.
Okay, so give me like your just a quick intro about what's your where did you grew up like in Quebec, and then after that, I know you move a lot actually to go to everywhere, probably like on the planet right now to for basketball stuff. So just give me like a quick three minutes, and we start with that for the podcast today.
Yeah, cool. Like I said, I was born in Quebec City, raised in Quebec City. I lived. Our family home was on the South Shore of the city in Charny, and which is now Lévis. They're on the South Shore, but I went to school in town at St. Patrick's High School and St. Vincent's Elementary before that. So I've always kind of spent a lot of time, obviously, in the city itself, and I went to Champlain, St. Lawrence afterwards, and Sainte Foy, and eventually left Quebec City to go to Montreal. I was in Montreal for a few years and ended up in Sherbrooke, where I graduated from Bishop's University, and
Okay, what
go
do you go,
Gators!
what you,
Always proud. Always still proud to represent the purple.
the purple?
Uh,
Where do
yeah,
you where do you get what do you study in Bishops?
at Bishop's I did an honors degree in political studies and political science with a minor in public policy,
Okay.
and yeah, and economics. I did a lot of economics, and eventually I left the province and I went out west to BC and to go to graduate school at SFU, and started coaching out west, and one thing led to another, and started bouncing around quite a bit and got lots of opportunities within the game. So
Yeah.
been really blessed and fortunate.
Where do you went to you went to coaching where actually? Give me a
Um,
quick because I know like at some point like I was phoning you at some point or just where are you right now because I didn't know like where you were because you were it seems to me like you were like flying around a lot.
Too much, too much.
Okay.
You
So
you
get
would not be the you wouldn't be the only one to be wondering where I was. Sometimes I wondered it myself. I mean, I coached in Quebec for about a decade, and before I left, and I started coaching when I was really young, at when I was still in high school, actually, and then my first CJEP team was when I was 19, and coached in Quebec City, then coached in Montreal, and coached in the Estrie region, and eventually when I went out west, I ended up as an assistant at SFU,
okay.
Simon Fraser, and had a really good experience there with Coach Clark,
Okay.
who was a phenomenal coach, very very technically gifted coach and a great leader of young men, and I really learned a lot working with him. And then opportunities kind of arose. I spent some time in India.
In what?
Um, India.
India, like the country India?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Okay, that's a first time for me, like to even hear like basketball and India like in the same sentence. Actually.
yeah. It was pretty cool. We went there in December of 2008 and spent about 6 weeks working with their national program at a training camp type of scenario.
Okay.
And it was really cool. Actually, he was just about 14 or so at that time, but one of the kids that we worked with in the younger group um, was just was drafted by the Mavericks. That big kid who was drafted by the Mavericks,
Very
Satnam Singh.
serious. Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. He was big even then. He was 14, like 6'9", 6'10". He was a big kid.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were there for, like I said, about 6 weeks. And when we came back, I finished off the season with SFU, and I was going to be the general manager of a minor league pro team that was out there.
Okay.
The Titans played in the International Basketball League, and our head
Which
coach.
which is like where I used to play in, like the kind of like the ABA cabs, or I don't know, like is it the
Yeah,
same thing a little bit?
it'd be a step up from the ABA, I would
Okay.
say. The talent level was pretty good. There were some former NBA guys, and
Okay. Nice.
um, like Jason Capono played in that league.
Capono from UCLA.
Yeah, dude, yeah, yeah.
But
And
like, where do you guys play at? Like in the States or
yeah, most of the games were in the States.
West Coast?
West Coast, yeah, it was basically a West Coast league, and
Okay.
there were some teams kind of in Middle America, like in Illinois and things, but we played down in Seattle, Portland area. It was really good because I got to work with a lot of high caliber guys,
Yeah.
former Division One players, and um, we took the opportunity to really kind of grow Canadian opportunities as well. So we made a point of going to get as many CIS or returning Canadians as possible.
Who were the CIS player playing for the team
Um,
that I might know?
well, I mean, we had some all Canadian level guys like defensive players, like all conference defensive players out in Canada West, like Emi Unebu, and we had Brian Bannon from Trinity Western. We had Brandon Ellis from UVic.
Okay.
We had James Hudson went to U of A. We had some guys that were pretty good players. And
Yeah.
we had Division One guys. We had a guy who went to Montana, a guy who went to Central Arkansas, Iowa State.
How do you did you coach them, or you just general manage the team?
Well, I did end up coaching.
Okay.
But we had a head coach, Coach Chambers, Richie Chambers, who was coached with Team Canada on the women's side for a long time. And I was going to be his assistant, which would have been phenomenal for me, because Coach Chambers is just, I mean, he's one of the best coaches in the country. But some things came up for him health-wise that he needed to step aside, and eventually the team owner asked me to just do double duty, and so I kind of fell into that opportunity, frankly.
Did you enjoy it?
I did, yeah,
Yeah.
I did. It was
Because I
the
know, like,
first.
from my experience, like I don't have anything against Division One player from the States and stuff like that, but it's a different mentality when they come in Canada and they play, and they're not used to what. How can I say that? Like when I was playing with the Cavs, I was feeling that they were not that much of a professionals because they were used to having like all their lunch like at the Division One. Like you don't care
Training
about.
table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just go like to everywhere. It's like it's like you're having like a second mommy over there. While
Right.
While CIS player, you're like on your own. So it's most, and you have
You know,
to sometimes you have to work to get to school over here. So that was one of the big difference I saw when I had the opportunity to play with the guys. I was like some of them were not ready to be like to be on their own sometimes, but sometimes no.
I think that's a fair comment, but what we did right off the bat was really focus on, again, like the culture that we were trying to build, even at that level for the program, and Um, certainly we had to make some roster moves as things went along, where guys just weren't fitting in for whatever reason. And, I think what we struggled with early on was there perhaps not being the same degree of respect for the Canadians,
Okay.
coming from the Americans, and that was a thing, right? Because we had so many Canadians, and we started the year with five Americans,
Okay.
and eventually, what we had to do was just let guys settle it on the court, right? And we had, at one point, we set up the teams, and we went at it in practice, and the Canadians, the CIS guys, definitely demonstrated, how talented they were, and it was a physical game, physical, scrimmage, and they set the tone. They made sure that the other guys understood that they weren't going to be going away and that they deserved to be on the floor, and that's the way it has to be, right?
Yeah, that's actually kind of the way I did it with the Cavs too. When I was it's just I didn't think about like talking about that today. It was like I used to have like we had those practice in playing with the Cavs. I think it was the first year at some point, and Pascal Jobin, which were the coach back there, and he set up a drill actually that was like most like a 1 against 2. Like you have to dribble 1 against 2, and I was the point guard, and there was that point guard. I think his name was like Jermaine or something, and he was from Boston College, so like pretty big college, and he didn't want to have nothing to do with me, like so. And I was like this. I think I was like the starting point guard. So he was like, "Okay, Pascal, we'll do the drill, but I don't want to have like nobody like with me, just 1-on-1 with Dominic." And Pascal was like, "No, the drill is 1 against 2, and Dominic has to break the press or something." So I was like so frustrated about the comment from Jermaine that I ended up going like really like 1 against 1 against him on one side, and I beat I beat him, and then after that I just like threw the ball to him, and he was like mad as hell. I was like, wow, this is like Canadian USA like in the gym, so it's kind of kind of crazy stuff. But after that, actually, he kind of set it up because like everybody understood like, oh, okay, like the Quebecers or like the Canadian, they're not gonna go back off because some of the time they think like we soft or something like that, but like, we're not backing off. So yeah, I think it's kind of fair that we do like on the court. Let's just all right.
At the end of the day, game's going to recognize game,
Yeah, man.
and that's just the reality, and I think
You
that's
say
that's the way it's got
on
to
my
be.
podcast, what we say about that is like ball don't lie. Like
Yeah,
so
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
so after that, where do you went after that?
So after we finished off that season, my wife and I ended up going to Australia, and like at first we were just going down there on vacation, and but I was fortunate that like I knew some people that got me connected into the basketball community down there, and things came about that we had some opportunities to stay, so we did, and we stayed for a year, and we were working on
For how
longer term
long?
contract.
How,
We were there for a year,
okay,
coaching, working. Yeah,
in
yeah.
was that in the NBL or
No, no, it was in the second division.
okay,
Yeah, and in a second division league, there are second division leagues in all the different states, and so we were in one of those.
okay, cool,
And yeah, it was great. We lived on the west coast near the Indian Ocean. We were only about 10 minutes away from the water on foot, and it was pretty cool.
nice,
Um, yeah, and we actually tried to stay for longer, but we couldn't make a contract come together by
okay,
the time visas were running out and everything else. Um, so we came back to Canada. I took a job as a director of athletics at a university in Calgary, in Alberta,
okay,
and worked there, coached there for a couple years until we got another offer, a contract offer to go back to Australia, and so we took that, thinking that we'd be moving there long term. And it was right around the time that our oldest child was born. Basically, we bit off way too much, more than we could chew for sure. So, being down there so far from family with our first
yeah,
baby, yeah, it was hard, and
yeah,
and so I coached again in one of those Pro 2 leagues, and I coached a women's team this time. It was the first time I'd ever coached women, and
Did you like it?
I did. I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It was the players were phenomenal. Very. I remember. I mean, I started off the year not quite sure. Um, frankly, how to go about doing it. I was feeling my way through, and we were on the road one time, and we were delayed to depart the hotel, and so we had a meeting in the hotel, and I just laid it out there. I said, you know, I'm not like I'm not sure where that line is with you guys, right? Like how hard, and honestly, it was so silly of me because I you realize, of course, that players are players,
Yeah.
and they want to get pushed and they want to get better, and we had some really good players, that have played at UNLV, other Division One players. We had some really good Australian players as well, and that's basically that's what they came to me and they said, Coach, just don't worry about nothing, just coach us.
Okay, cool.
And I mean, it was really really kind of releasing, and because in Australia at the time where I was, there seemed to be a really strong sort of, well, we don't do this with our women's team,
Okay.
and so forth. But we chucked that out the window, and what we ended up doing was winning. We won some games for the first time in like 3 or 4 years that the club had won games,
Okay.
um, and it was really good. It was all a testament to how hard those girls worked, and I'm still close with a number of them. The whole team today. Like we still communicate regularly, and um, they're I couldn't have asked for a better group
Yeah.
for sure. They really busted their butts. They worked really hard, and they bought in, and they did whatever needed to be done in order to
I was
move the program
I was
forward.
pretty surprised. Like I had the opportunity one time to really like coach. Was in high school. I coach like the juveniles, the girls over there at the Collège François Laval, the old PSQ. So and I was really surprised like the how intense in practice the girl were because like, when you're a guy like you don't really like know at first what it's gonna be and stuff like that. And I was really impressed by the level of competitiveness like of girls. Not that I'm married to a really competitive girl, so I know like how it is that they. But I was pretty like, wow, okay, it's the same thing. Like ballers are ballers. Like it's just they might not be able to do this or that, but at some level, like I think from the way I saw the game, I thought like the at the younger stage maybe they understood like really what's going on like in the game. Like the game is really for me. I was feeling that the girls were really when it's time to play, it's time to play. But when it's not time to play, there's no like silly stuff after the game. Like there was, I don't know, we didn't have like a lot of drama and a lot of people like just banging chairs and stuff like that before if you lose a
Yeah,
game. Like if it's over,
yeah.
it's over. But when
You
it's
know,
time
I
to play, it's time to play.
Yeah, totally. I learned probably far more from them than they learned
Yeah,
from me.
me too, man.
Uh, I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was just the precision in language that needs to be used. And I've tended to be a detail oriented coach throughout over the years, but the level of precision that I needed to communicate with was taken to a whole new level for with that team. Because if a lot of times guys will maybe rely on athleticism, or they'll rely on the instinct and whatnot that they like to play within the flow of the game, and it's the same thing is true with very talented female players too, except the instructions that are given from the coach or from the captain or from wherever they're coming from, if if they're not precise, it creates confusion.
Yeah,
and
okay, I got you.
um, and so rather than kind of create space, they really were hungry um, for a very precise set of directions, which then they could like take or leave based on scenario. But they really responded well to having a very concise, precise set of, okay, A, B, C. and then if A wasn't working, they wouldn't like freeze because they were really good players and they could think on their feet. But
One thing I realized, and I was reading that in a book at the same time as I was coaching girls, is that let's say you have like a group of guys, and you bring them in, and you say, guys, today we really suck on defense, okay, on this and this. Every guy's in the room is gonna be like, oh, he's talking about everybody else but me. It's like he's talking about the other ones. And if you say that to a girl team,
yeah,
normally, and I
yeah,
tried that. You say that, hey girls, we suck today. Every girl's gonna be like, oh yeah, I suck today, like big time. And
yeah,
so when you're coaching the guys, at some point you have to say, hey David, you are not good on defense. But you don't have to say that to girls. Normally, like they'll get it, like they'll get it that it's really personal for them. So that was quite funny because I tried that like in high school, and it works so well. Like you don't have like on girls, you don't have to point finger at one girl. Like I don't know if you experience that like when coaching, but they don't need that. And normally it's gonna backfire on the coach if you do that, because like girls gonna be like, oh man, he's too hard on her. Like it's also me on that play or stuff like that. I don't know if you experience that.
yeah. Well, I mean, to a certain degree. I mean, again, I only coached the one
Yeah,
season, and I actually wish that I had coached, um, girls prior to that because
yeah,
I really enjoyed it. But I'm sure that's part of it, right? Like it's the individual relationships that you have, the trust factor that's there. Like I I really enjoyed, strong trust-based, relationships with the players, and that allowed me to say, it created that space for me to say, what you're doing right now is not good enough. You're capable of more, and and it's all about how you do it and where you do it and when you do it, and a lot of one-on-one conversations,
yeah,
not so much calling people out, kind of in public and things like that, and
yeah,
in front of the team,
yeah.
and
Boys thing.
yeah, I mean, and it is a little bit different.
Yeah,
Sometimes, the guys respond, but I mean, it's not a male or female thing. It's
yeah.
just a human thing, right? Like some
Some of
some
them,
people
yeah,
respond well, some people don't. You gotta put the time in to figure out who's who, and
yeah. Before we go out
what
to
makes them
the
go. But I mean, at the end of that season, yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah. Before we go out to after this season, I just want to, because it's really like surprising for people that in Australia is pretty much like a country that seems to me a little bit like Canada. We all always hear about Australia like that. I've never been there. I have some friends that live there right now, but I'm always like intrigued. How come they have like a pro league over there? Because they're not like, it's not like Europe. Like it's not like they have like all those like easy players like just around like from every country around. They're pretty much like an island, a little bit like on their own. How come they have a pro league and one division, two division, three division, and we have nada?
yeah. You know what? I really feel that the Australian example is one that we need to study,
Okay.
because our countries are so similar,
Yeah.
right? Like
Okay.
really large countries, long distances between major cities. Like everything, their country is really really big.
Oh yeah, I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's not as big as Canada, obviously, but I mean, flying from Sydney to Perth on the west coast is like flying from Montreal to Vancouver, right? Like it's
Wow. Okay.
yeah, and so what they managed to do, despite this, like the geography of the country, is pull together. They've only got, I think, 8 or 9 teams in the league, in their top division, but they have a functional, league for both the men and the women. And there was once upon a time that the NBL was like second best league in the world. It was,
I heard about that.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was good, really good basketball. And I think what the reason for that is that they have a really strong grassroots identity, and they build within, because they're on their own. They don't look to anybody else to develop their talent or their coaches or their officials or whatever. They do it themselves, and Obviously, there's more and more Aussies that come to university in Canada, and obviously, like
There's one in NBA right now, so
yeah, I mean Della Vadova and Andrew Bogut, and you've got like Andrew Gaze before that. You've got like a long list of really talented
yeah, I
Australians
mean,
that have gone to the
yeah,
States.
but isn't Ben Simmons Australian too?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, yeah,
he's from Australia too. So
yeah, that's right. So you've got examples of guys that have left and gone to college
yep.
or whatever they've done, but their grassroots is built for themselves. And what
Can you expand on that?
in
Because
in
like
in a
because
nutshell,
over here
like in
grassroots is like it's we
yeah.
don't get that. Like I don't get that like a little bit. So
Okay, so basically, like down there, every city or town is going to have like its own club, its own association, and all of these associations, some are better, some are worse, some are big, some are small, whatever. But there are going to be all these clubs that run competitions, just like the local school league or something,
okay,
and they run these domestic local competitions for their talent, and it's general participation, and then they have rep teams that go off and compete against other clubs, and it's just a pyramid. It's just like the schools, except it's not in schools.
okay.
And there are some good things and there are some bad things, but what happens is that there's so much basketball happening down there that um, that it just grows, and they've done a really good job with coach development. I thought their coach development was really good when I was there, and I think
Do they pay the coach, or is it's more about just the way that they train them?
it depends. I mean, you know, a lot of clubs don't pay their coaches even at the more senior levels.
Okay,
Um, some do. I mean, it is, it does depend. Obviously, the higher you go, the more likely you are to get paid. But at the local level, when you're just talking about parents, it's just like it's no different than having a local parent come to coach a Bantam team or something. Right? Like uh, but what they do is each club will have like a coaching director, and they're going to try and help people understand how to coach. And the kids only practice a couple times a week, but they they're like they're a really sporting society. Like
that's what I heard. That's what like
sport's a big deal.
that
Sports a big
like
deal.
everybody that talked to me about like my movement with Pure Instinct, and we talked about that a little bit like a year ago. I was trying to get more info about the sports in general from Australia and New Zealand because I heard like it's pretty big over there. Like everybody like that went over there is like, okay, sports over there is it's really like it's not a culture about being only in the stands. It's about doing. Like, is it me or over there is like people are doing sport, like not just watching sports? Because I think maybe like over here we're big on watching sports, but not that big on going outside and going to the rec center and
Yeah,
going and play sports.
yeah. I think to sum it up best, I mean, the Aussies have a saying, and they have this like mentality. It's like to give it a go, right? They say give it a go. Well, I don't know, but I'll give it a go, right? And basically what that is they have this, a mindset of basically what it is. It's like almost like a growth mindset, right? Like they're willing to try things even if they don't know, if they're not guaranteed to succeed at it, but they're
Okay.
willing to go out there and try and fail. And they kind of have this this idea, this mindset everywhere. So like sports is really really big, from rugby to AFL to cricket to tennis to basketball to field hockey to swimming to, I mean, life saving, like lifeguards and surfing and stuff like that. Like they're a really really sport, physical activity oriented. They're a hardy people. They're tough, and and that's really cool. So it made it really interesting to coach them,
Yeah.
and to listen to their coaches and to look at how they approach things. And it was certainly different than what I had experienced in Canada.
But do you feel like the because that's one of the thing, like I'm not trying to put the Canadian model like on the side or the Quebec model on the side, because in Canada we have so much different system right now going on. But is it time, you think, like that let's say in Quebec that we think about that kind of stuff, and that we trying to say, hey, is it like the school system like the best way to develop like or basketball culture? Because when I was working in school, I thought that was like kind of limited, like the work you can do like to improve your players. At some point, like you're not really there for basketball. It's school first, really school first, and I think it's okay because you're in a school. Like you're not supposed to win at all costs, and you're not supposed to like my director at my school like he couldn't care less if I get one player to go to Division 1 college or in the states and stuff like that. Like he's like, who cares? Like I want him to go to CJEP or to have his degree and stuff like that. And I think that's like his job too. So um, I think we kind of put so much pressure on the school system over here to develop our athletes. It's kind of tough, like to like the school don't have money to do that. Like to like I don't know. It's not like in their function right now. Like, hey, you're in a school, and you're gonna put like 20% of your money to develop like athletes. I think it's kind of silly. I don't know what you, but it's just my kind of feeling right now. Like as I grow as a person right now, and as I try to understand where I'm gonna put my pure instinct project in everywhere. Like so, I don't know what you think about that. Like for basketball, actually.
When it comes to basketball, I think that there's a definite role for schools to play. Um, I actually think that focusing on the individual development, and I don't mean as an athlete, I mean the development of the individual, and having goals that are, you know, bigger than just a sports goal. I think that's really important.
Yep.
And we all know the numbers about how many people actually go on to play professionally, or
Hmm.
how many go on to play at a university or college level or whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, most of the people that we work with, whether that's at the level where I'm at now in the CIS, or whether that's at a high school level or whatever, most of the people that we work with are not going to go on to that next level, whatever the next level is.
Yep.
And so our job as coaches, I feel, um, is to do our best work in positioning them to be successful in whatever profession they end up pursuing. And and you can do that, and you can win also along the way. Like the performance goal and outcome should not be um, what's the sole focus of what we're doing. Because in the club there's a very strong social aspect as well,
Yeah. Okay.
and there's you know, I mean, the academic literature and research tells us that sports clubs play a really large role in socialization and in building community and in all of that kind of stuff. And schools also play that role within their local community as well. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like it's apples and oranges, but it's both sides, both models have their good points, and both models have um, their weak points. And
But
so it's
is it really like because like and I'm trying to be the devil advocate right now, but like there's not a lot of place where the club system is pretty big like everywhere. Like over here we have like the school system, and it seems to me like just a I hear about like the I hear about the sports in Australia. Let's say Australia because you went there, and I think that's really like cool that you have some experience over there, and I hear about that. And I was like, wow, okay, they having something that we don't have like right now. So
well, let me tell you the biggest determinant of success. If you wanted to implement a club-based model, it's going to be the volunteer base.
yeah, okay,
Uh, every club over there operates on a basically on a shoestring volunteer base. Like the budget is minimal. The Pro 2 clubs are scrambling.
okay,
Like the local competition and the grassroots participation funds the senior team. And their ability to bring in imports and pay coaches and pay players and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that just go into making it function. I think what they've done better than us, and by us I mean in Canada,
hmm,
is two things. The first thing is they've standardized and nationalized the system. So Basketball Australia, the AIS, the Institute of Sport, there's a strong top-down sort of system for better or for worse. I mean, I know lots of my friends are going to tell me that everything
Yeah.
they do is bad, but at the end of the day, there is something for all the states to follow. There's a model, and so they replicate the model at local levels, and it helps create a stream, and it helps create an identity, and they know exactly what it means to play for Australia. They know exactly what it means to be that player. Like I've seen the work, I've seen the documents, I've seen the values. Like it's, you cannot play for Australia if you don't do this. You cannot play for Australia if you can't do that, et cetera, et cetera. So they know exactly who they are, scrappy, physical,
Yeah.
and they play to their strengths. And so they do that. And the second thing, um, the second thing that they've done, I feel better than us, is that they understand exactly who they are from a competitive perspective. So they don't play, like the top division plays in arenas, but like all the Pro Tour leagues, they play in like small stadiums of
Okay.
like 1,000 people, 1,200 people. You know what I mean? Like they're not trying to be something that they're not. They're not the NBA, and they're okay with that. And I think that's important. To recognize that you're going to give opportunities to your local guys, and it's a chance for them to keep playing, and it's a really good level of competition, and it's a lot of fun, and people get behind it, and it's good for the kids, and it's but they're not trying to bite off more than they can chew.
Okay.
And the last thing I want to say on this, because I know you want to move on, but
Yeah,
the,
not really,
the
because I just
uh,
I'm loving it right now. I love to know, like, one of the reason I'm trying to do that show too is to get like more perspective for me and for others, just to let us know like what's up out there, just outside of the province, outside of the country. And I think that
yeah,
every time I used to do that, like in everything in my life, like that, take a little bit, like, I don't think you can take the model from a country and just bring it in, but I
no,
think you can have like some flavor to something. And what you just said, the way, like the way you do thing over there, I think it's interesting, like, right now. So
well, the last thing that I'll say about it then is, like in Canada, we have really good, like world class, world leading, um, research being done into coach development, athlete development. Our LTAD is
yeah,
copied the world over.
I know
Okay,
it's crazy, man. It's so nice.
it's phenomenal, really phenomenal. What we're lacking is the on the ground infrastructure to do what's called, like, what's knowledge mobilization. It's like taking all of this expertise and all of this information and knowledge, and then translating it into something that Monsieur, Madame, tout le monde, who is a parent coming to coach their under 10, under 9 soccer team, like, how does that impact them? Like, it's great for the people that are reading the literature, that are reading the expertise, and it helps those people do better at their job and help their athletes. But the mobilizing of that knowledge, and the Aussies do that pretty good, because
Okay.
they take all of this stuff, and the Kiwis are even better. Like in New Zealand, I mean, they are, without, to my mind anyway, they are right at the top of the class when it comes to coach and athlete development.
Okay.
And I know they're a small country, and there's only like 4 or 5 million people in the country, and it makes it a lot easier. But what they've been doing down there is tremendous, and is copied the world over, including in Canada. And that's, the Aussies do that too, because they're able to take all of this really high level, academic, like scientific research, and all of the evidence-based best practices, and then take it and turn it into something that is like, that can be used by, the people that are on the ground coaching kids. And they work with their national federations, like, to make it happen. So, the whether that's the National Department of Sport, or, but they work together.
Yeah.
And
But
that's, I mean,
I
you
just
you and I both know we don't have the best track record of working together
yeah.
across Canada. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
we so it makes it a struggle sometimes.
Yeah, I just like the like the way, uh I think it's important to develop like athletes. I think like it's really important, and I don't mind like the way, like, we, let's say we put athletes like in NBA. Okay, oh, that's great, you have athletes in NBA. Oh, that's great, you have like a good Olympic team. I think it's great that we have, let's say in Canada, we in 10 years we have a good Olympic team like Australian. That's perfect. But what I'm more perplexed about Canada right now, it's mostly like just the that grassroots effect of basketball. I think basketball is one of the top sports to just include everybody and to get people really interested in sports. I think it's one of the best sports for that. It's so simple, and I think like the best way to get the like if you say like it's parents everything like we need. I think in Canada we need to have like more basketball going, like more stuff going, like just not just school, like everything go like it has to be like I don't know if it's 12 months over there, but it has to be like something like it's a sport that can actually run like everywhere, like
Yeah,
for
yeah,
fun too, like
yeah. No, that's the thing. I think there's there's a lot of evidence there that tells us that you know sport specialization too early is not good, and so my initial sort of reaction to the 12-month.
yeah.
I mean, I think that's happening right now, and I don't think it's good for younger levels, especially like depending on where
Mm-hmm.
an athlete sits in their development along that continuum, right? But we definitely have the opportunity to I think to make more with less, right? To be more efficient and effective, rather than just saying like let's just do more. I mean, sometimes less is more,
Yeah.
as long as the quality of what the kids are getting and they're doing other things. I want guys to I want to recruit guys into my program that have played other sports, that have experienced other things, because at the end of the day, it's really hard to sustain high level of commitment um, when you're training 12 months a year at 12 years old,
Yeah,
11 years
but
old.
yeah, I don't think like I don't think I'm trying to get to training them. It's mostly like about like giving I think giving with one sport, winning one sport, different kind of intensity that let's say a kid can say, hey, I'm gonna be on my school team. After that, I'm gonna be on my club team. Hey, we have a rec center that we can play like each week. We have this and that, and then this I'm gonna choose. And when I'm tired, I'm gonna take that month off, that month off. But if we only put the pressure on the school system over here, and I remember when I was like back in the days when I was working, I was like, okay, so I'm coaching, I'm training them, and then after that, when the season's over, I'm responsible for another thing. Like, is it gonna be over for the school, like to the high school, to be responsible for everything from the kid development? That's maybe, but because I think like the kids could be like when I was running like as a basketball player, I will have liked to have like more opportunity to do this and this like at the grassroots level actually, not just it doesn't have to be always like with coaches and really like
Yeah.
big time organization too. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not at all. In fact, I think there's too much of that, and that's like people need to get out and just play,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the kids need to just get out and run around and play and screw around and not worry about some a parent or a coach on the sideline critiquing their shooting form. Just go down to the local park and just chuck the ball around, and grab some friends and go play. Like that's what needs to happen more, and it needs to happen a lot more. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because
But
you
yeah.
see you see kids that they don't know how to function or think the game if they're not being constantly reinforced, especially now positively reinforced.
I think we
It's,
I think we need to have like so I think I read that from the coach from the national team and soccer team, the women's soccer team, and he was talking about like we need like adult to be just angel around the park. So let's say you're an adult and you want to organize some basketball. The only thing you have to do actually is just organize the game. But then after that, you just sit down and just take your coffee, and you don't need to always have to disturb the play and stuff like that. Like if you want to be an adult, sometime just don't over organize like something. It's just like just go to the park, organize a game. Okay, let's say this is gonna be team A, team B, team C, and then after that, let the kid play. So that could be it. Oh, you moving?
I am just 1 sec. My battery's about to die.
Go ahead, man. We're gonna move out to your new life actually, just for a bit. We might do like a second time too or a third time at some point. I just want
Yeah,
to.
we could definitely do that. I got to change spots,
It's all right.
and I only got about 15 minutes before this place closes.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, so we'll close that in 10. So, and how's your new life about like so now you're coaching, let's say you're coaching the Cape at the Cape Breton, is that it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, my family and I moved here in June 2016. So last summer, we had spent the year on Vancouver Island, um,
Vancouver Island.
which yeah, Vancouver Island. So we were living in Nanaimo,
Oh yeah,
which
okay.
is a great city. Yeah, I really like Nanaimo. It's very nice. And so yeah, we
I,
ended up
I went
here.
to Tofino last summer.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. Like it's like the most beautiful place I've ever been
yeah.
in my life, man. It's incredible. Tofino. I'm trying to
You
get my wife to go back this year.
you. I mean that's basically what. I mean it's that is like coastal beach regions, right? Like they're like that. We really liked Vancouver Island. It's like
Yeah,
it's a rainforest, right? So it's
yeah,
really really natural. We love getting out and onto the trails and going hiking and stuff with the kids and so we really enjoyed Nanaimo. But we were excited, obviously, to come here. I took the role at CBU and at the end of May and ended up here in June um, yeah, taking over a team we're, the program has had some success in the past, some conference championships
okay.
and the AUS is a very competitive conference from top to bottom.
Like
There's a lot of
Who's big? Like Santa Fe, St. Mary's again, or okay,
Dalhousie, St. Mary's, Memorial's having a good year.
okay,
The whole conference is up actually
nice,
this year.
okay,
And we're in a rebuild. We took over a program that had graduated, a lot of seniors, a lot of minutes, and a lot of experience and points. And as we say, it was 120 minutes a game that walked the stage.
okay.
Out of 200 minutes, so
Did
a
you,
whole lot of fifth years.
did you have time to recruit a little bit now? Because I saw on your Facebook some recruit, but do you like how can you recruit? Like, do you recruit only like in the province, or do you recruit like everywhere, or like
You
how is
recruit
it?
everywhere.
Yeah,
You recruit everywhere. Yeah, managed to find some good guys to come in over the course of the summer. Of course, I mean, it's really late in the recruiting calendar, but worked really. My staff and I, we worked really hard to try and find some guys, and we did. And I feel like we brought in some good building blocks that are going to help us continue to progress over the next couple years.
how
Um,
do you recruit like right now? Like because do you feel like you have like a because you're like on an island right now, so you're not. It's not going to be easy for you, I guess, as a head coach to go in season to see some players and stuff like that. So how do you how do you recruit like right now? Because I guess it's like a constant like as a coach to make sure that your team progress, and you have to have new talents coming in, like at least I guess two players a year, like for 2 or 3 players a year. So where do you get them? Do you go like local scene, or you try right now to go like to see people like in Ontario, Quebec?
well, there's a couple of things that have worked to make things more complicated for us. The first thing is that there's a teacher's work action in Nova Scotia at the high school level,
Okay.
which means that there's no high school sports at all in Nova Scotia.
What?
Uh, yeah, yeah. So there hasn't been a season for high school sports, and which for me, not being a Nova Scotian and coming in from the other side of the country, I already didn't know the grade 11s or the grade 10s or the grade 12s, and that makes it obviously more difficult to go out and bring in young players from Nova Scotia off the bat because I don't get to see them, and so that makes it more complicated. But basically, like what we're trying to do is at the moment we're trying to stabilize the player replacement cycle.
Okay.
Because like I said, there were a lot of guys that graduated last year. We only have one fifth year this year. We've struggled with a lot of injuries throughout the year. And there'll be a couple fifth years, more next year and so on. But we have to stabilize that cycle of replacement, right? So
Yeah.
when guys graduate, there are guys that are ready to take over, more prominent roles that are prepared for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and So I mean, right now it's a constant, right? Like we're doing a lot of work to identify the right guys that we want to bring in from either college leagues or JUCO leagues, or guys that are returning to Canada, or whatever the case is. And I feel pretty good about that. Our season's almost done now. We're not going to be making the postseason, so
Okay.
we have 2 more weeks of competition, and then we're into full into the off season. And our guys have continued to battle. We've been in a lot of games that we legitimately had opportunities to win. It's just really hard to press guys into roles that they might not have been prepared for,
Yeah, yeah,
and they might not be ready for. But it's
yeah.
by virtue,
I
it's just
feel
no choice.
my feel on the college game from what I know, like especially when we have like in Canadian we have 5 year. I think it's mostly important to have like kind of two like one blue chip per year. You don't want to have like normally like let's say a team with 10 really good players, because you're gonna have like to manage a lot of playing time and stuff like that. But you need to have like every year like one guy that is gonna be the guy at some point like in his career. So like I think it's pretty important that you have that. Sometimes some year you might have like two of them, but it's kind of tough in basketball. Like, you don't want to over recruit too on a guy. So when you see you have some good building blocks, you have to maybe wait 1 year before everybody gets settled in their new role. But yeah, it's
You're
a
right. You're right. Like I said, like for us, the number one objective right now in our recruiting is to stabilize the roster, and to bring in guys that are capable of playing at the level that we want to play at, and that are capable of playing the way we want to play. And we have certainly, like, our team is currently, there are lots of guys on our team that are really well suited for that, and we have to make sure that we're bringing in the right type of character guy and the right
yeah.
type of talent, and everything else. Like, at the end of the day, our objective is to produce a winning team that is going to compete for conference championships, um, and uh, and you want to be successful year in and year out, and obviously within that cycle, you have some years where you're going to be, hopefully competing right at the top of the conference, but you never want to fade entirely, and it's about sustainable success, right?
Yeah.
And that's where that replacement cycle becomes very, very important, because if you're top heavy and there's no one to come in and take over, then you kind of have, you obviously you have down years, and then that makes it more difficult to recover,
Yeah, it's
and everything
recruit
else.
and everything. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why my focus right now is on
Cool.
stabilizing the roster replacement,
All right.
and just that cycle. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave you at that today, and I have some more question for you for the next time. But I'll leave you at that right now. I'm wondering, like a coach like you, it's your first year right now, but I'm sure you're aware we have a power team in Canada, which is called the Carleton Ravens. You heard about them?
Of course. Yeah.
How is the Ravens success and the Daysmart success has pushed you as a coach right now, and how much of are they like in the back of your head, or you're not there yet, like thinking about you're only thinking about your conference, or always thinking about how can I get to that level at some point? Are you thinking about that a little bit sometime, like you want to get not that
I
much
think.
success, because I think it's
Yeah.
like it's quite impossible to have like you just want to have like that much success in that like 12 years. But do you have that like in your back of your mind when you coaching, like, oh, this is like the excellence like of basketball?
So, I mean, I would say a couple things to that. The first is, anybody who's in this job anywhere in the country, all 47 of us, um, we all have one goal, and that is to, from a performance perspective, we all have the goal of winning a national championship. And we have lots of other goals when it comes to player development, and personal development, individual development, and the goals of helping our athletes achieve their on and off court goals. But from a purely performance angle, everybody wants to win a national championship. And there's only been one team that's been doing it for a long time. And so it's impossible to not have them somewhere in your consciousness. Um, but for us, where we are at, I mean, Carlton exists out there,
Yeah.
and we obviously we study what they do, and we study what makes them so successful, just as we would study a successful business or a successful program anywhere in any sport. I mean, North Carolina, women's soccer, or you name it, right? Like you
Yeah.
you 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 find people that are successful at what they do, and you try and understand whether anything of what they do could translate over to what you're trying to do.
Yep.
So there's that thing. Obviously everybody knows how good they are, and they are totally dominant. Over the last decade of setting the tone for university basketball. Personally, I think it's great, because if there's a team that is so good, I mean, the challenge now comes to the rest of us. I mean, what are we doing to try and reach them? And
and
we're
it
at the
and,
very
and it's not like
we're at the very
they having
you
like
know
right now like they don't have like just like the 6'10" athletes that jump out of the gym
yeah,
too. Like it's mostly
yeah,
that's what I think. Like it's cool for you guys. It's like, oh, okay, they having something right now. They having something that they figure out maybe, but it's not just about athletic abilities and a taller, like they're not look when you look at their team right now. I didn't see the team this year, but last year, actually they're getting bigger a little bit now, but not that big. Like they're not
they,
like
they've got a system
yep,
that they play to. They recruit to that, and the guys are 100% bought into that system.
yeah,
They execute it without any exception. And I mean, Coach Smart coaches them, a particular way to make that system work as well. And so, like, for us, everyone is trying to replicate the success of successful programs, whether
mm-hmm,
that's Carlton or anyone else.
yep,
For us in our conference, like, we're at the other end of the spectrum, where we're in a rebuild. And what I'm trying to do here is turn the focus onto the process of doing things the right way, building
yeah,
winning habits. Understanding, in order to get to where you want to go, you need to have a plan for how you're going to get there, and trying to guard a certain way, play a certain way, get guys to compete at a certain level. And that's a very difficult thing to do, particularly when it requires a lot of change. And that's why, for us, our focus is not on Carlton. We're
yeah.
focused on us. There are some very successful programs within our conference that we can look to for examples of how to be very successful. Dalhousie has really turned the corner over the last 4 years under Coach
Okay.
Plato. Coach Konchalski has obviously been at St. FX for 42,
42.
43
I heard
years.
42. That's crazy.
Absolutely. And I mean, for me as a young guy, I mean, I guess I'm not that young anymore, but I'm still relatively young in the
Yeah,
business. And um, I mean, you kind of like, hey man, I'm competing against an icon of Canadian basketball. You think that for about 3 seconds, and then you want to get out there and beat them.
yeah.
And
But I think you got the right mindset right now. From what I can see is like, I think from what I saw from other coaches is that even the best coach, they only they only care about the process of their team anyway. Like, of course,
yeah,
like they're staying everywhere, like from right to left, and you like I'm sure like coach from Centefax, he looks at everything, but at the same point, like his focus and your focus and good coach focus must be on their team and the process to their season and the season after that and building the blocks. And then after that, you turn around and you say, hey, we're on the top of the mountain right now. But it's like and sometimes it takes a long time too. And
it's always ugly before it's pretty.
yeah, of
And
course.
I think that when we understand that, and we invest in our time and our energy in planting the right seeds, the harvest is going to come, but it's going to take time. And you need the right conditions around that in order for those seeds to grow and to bloom. And so that's the culture, and that's the environment that's around the team. Even if you plant the right seeds, but you don't have the right environment, if you don't have the right sun, you don't have the right weather, you don't have the right culture when it comes to a program, I mean, those seeds are not going to bloom. And so that's why it's so important that right off the bat, we're working on that this year. Certainly, the work is going to continue. You're
Yeah.
never done trying to create the right environment, but you got to fight for it every day. But as that becomes more just a reality and a part of life for our guys, um, our play will improve, and the manner in which we train will improve, the manner in which we practice and we lift, and everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it before. I've been a part of it before. You never really know when it's going to come, but you do know that it's never going to come unless you put the focus on that, and that's the process. And so
Yeah.
for us, we want to compete the next time we're on the floor. I want our team to put ourselves in as good a position as possible when we go to UNB on Friday, who are quite good, and when we go to PEI, who we lost a tight 1-2 last month, and then the following weekend when we play St. Mary's at home, we want to finish out on a good note, setting the tone for our work in the off season. And we're continuously looking to build. We're
That's
continuously looking
good.
to add more blocks and more blocks and more blocks and more blocks. And eventually, when you add enough blocks, the idea is that you're going to get to where you want to go. But it's always going to be ugly first, and you got to be okay with that. You got to be patient. You got to be resilient. You got to want to be a builder. I tell all the guys that we're recruiting right now, I mean, this is not the place for you if you don't want to build. If you want
Yeah.
something ready-made, things to be handed to you, this is not the right place to come.
Right.
But if you want to build, you want to work, you understand that grind, and you want to be able to put your footprint onto something and put your fingerprints all over, turning the program back into what it should be, which is a contender every year, then let's go.
All right.
But there's a very clear process to that, and that's what excites me. I get excited at seeing that progression, at seeing the team improve, seeing individual players improve. Um, but at the end of the day, we got to understand it's not a linear process, right? Like
Nah.
it's up, it's down, it's across, it's up, it's back, like
Yeah.
it's a non-linear, and when you understand that, you get to the point where you can see the progression even though you're not seeing the outcome. But if you focus on moving the needle more and more, you're going to get the outcome. It's
All right.
inevitable. You will get the outcome.
All right. It's all good, man. What's good today? All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
cool.
Thanks for coming on the podcast, and good luck for the rest of the year. Good luck with that blizzard too, because
Yeah,
I think you have blizzard today. So
yeah,
you don't
it's
have
coming.
practice today.
Well, we were scheduled for tonight, but it might be an off day by the time the weather hits
All
us.
right. So let's try maybe like I would like to hit each other like maybe another time and talk about maybe hoops in general. Like, do you follow a little bit like NCAA and NBA sometime?
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly the NBA.
Okay. Cool.
In season, it's always a bit harder but synergy is phenomenal because I can watch
What
any NBA
what is
game.
synergy? What is like is the you thing like for coaches? What is synergy? Just I just want to know what I hear everybody talking about that.
Synergy is basically like an online database of basically every game that's being played
Where
uh,
everywhere.
anywhere. Like for example, I don't have the FIBA package, so I don't get EuroLeague,
Okay.
but I got an NBA package, and I say I mean the institution has an NBA package and a obviously college package. So we get all of the CIS games across the country are there, all the NCAA games, Division two games. There's even some JUCO on there, not much, but there is some JUCO.
Okay.
So I can basically a lot of my friends are coaching in different places in the states, and I don't I can't watch their games, but I can catch it on Synergy. I didn't even get the chance to watch Golden State and Oklahoma City, but I'm going to go onto Synergy and I can watch the cut ups, or I really like how certain teams do stuff, so I'll pull all their pick and roll defense, or I'll pull all their
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
Okay.
so
So
it's helpful for professional development as well.
yeah, I can see that. Does it cost a lot?
Maybe a couple $1,000s.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah.
So I didn't know you could get access to that mini game now. Okay, it's nice. Cool. All right.
Yeah, and you can totally. I mean, it's not anybody can sign up. I think what you see is a lot of the basketball bloggers and the people that are not affiliated with like ESPN or whatever. Most of them have Synergy accounts, I'm sure, because if they're just a guy writing for a blog, there's probably no way for them to be traveling around and seeing all these games.
Yeah.
But
I have
that, this
I
is
have
where
the I
they're
have
good.
the league pass, but I have the league
Yeah,
pass, but like and I watch a lot of CIS game actually online, but other than that, like I have 3 kids, so sometimes I have to stop basketball watching.
believe me, we have two. Our third is due middle of April.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah.
Good luck with that.
Thank you, thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, so we talk to you soon, huh? Good luck.
All right. Cheers.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. See ya. It was good.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
For a the phone, kill a brother for a $10 bill. Who fight? The pulse a kill the little one because the little youths them no have no education. Mama, papa, say help them while you can because the little youths them miss them